All right, hi guys. Excited to talk to you guys about something that is very near and dear close to my heart today, which is my job and, well, what I actually like to call a lifestyle. So I am a dating coach, self-confidence coach, and a matchmaker. So there's a lot of things that kind of go underneath the umbrella of that. So we're not going to dive into everything so deep. We're just going to kind of brush over some of the popular topics that I kind of go through from day to day. So let's get started with the first and most important thing. What is like the relationship between self-confidence and dating and relationships? Why are those two things important? Why do I work with those things, together? I have the mic here. I got to keep it near my mouth. And why self-confidence is important, whether you're single or whether you are paired off and in a relationship. So, of course, as we all know, self-confidence is an energy. It's a vibe. It's what you give off. It's how you succeed. It's how you live your life from day to day. And I like to always talk to my clients, whether they're single or whether they're in a relationship, why it's important to have that confidence. If you're single and you're okay in your own skin, same thing as if you're in a relationship and you're okay in your own skin, you are exuding the same amount of energy, the same amount of confidence, and the same amount of possibilities that you can possibly get. Same thing as if you were single or if you were in a relationship and you did not have that confidence. Working to actively change it is very important, and that's what we're going to get into today. How do you build that self-esteem? After this, I'm going to take a little break because I have a few different slides here. So if you guys want to pop in with any questions, we can definitely do that. I'm going to take a quick second. We have amazing service around here. Jumping back into building that self-esteem, how do you do that? Why is it important? And how can you I feel like a lot of people think it's like a big thing that you have to like always think about and it takes a lot of energy to do. These are a few things that you can do daily that can honestly build your self-esteem, make you a happier person, can honestly help you in terms of career, relationships. Mind you, relationships are not all romantic. They are platonic. They're also relationships with yourself, with your career. But what are some of those daily things you can do to build that confidence? Use positive affirmations. So those are things as simple as waking up in the morning, writing on a post-it note what you hope to achieve that day or what you're proud of or what you're grateful for, looking in the mirror, doing those same actions and talking as if those things are already happening. And of course, always saying something positive about yourself. And of course, the whole point is to say the life you want to live. And then of course, accepting compliments. And I feel like this is a girl's thing, and guys, maybe you're like this too, but every single time girls get compliments, and I tell this to my clients all the time, they always say, you say, oh, wow, you look so pretty. And they're like, oh, yeah. You say, thank you. Yes, I do look good. I worked hard for this body. I spent my money to look good in these clothes. Like, take the confidence. And there's a difference between being confident and being cocky. And I think finding out the balance between the two, you honestly will find your most success. And then, of course, manifest and live the world that you want to live. So if you want to travel, book that plane ticket. If you want to, start your own business, figure out how to do it. Google has the answer for everything. So again, it doesn't just work in relationships, but it also helps when you're trying to just manifest the life that you want. Before we get into the expectations, which is another thing, this is kind of how we're going to go into the bridge of basically fulfillment and self-love into like the dating world, and its expectations. And I want to kind of go into this, and I want to hear what expectations you guys have for yourself, because I think that everyone looks at expectations as something that you're supposed to have in terms of like, I would never take a man who would treat me like this. That's a good expectation. But then there's also the expectations of saying, I want a man with 6 figures that looks like this and fits this and fits that and fits that. And you almost are doing so much. But then when someone says, well, what do you have to bring to the table? You don't have anything. So I'm going to take a beat, and I just want to ask anyone, what are some expectations you have in terms of who you think your partner should be? And do you feel like you fit that expectation as well? I want them to have a job. Do you have a job? And then, of course, feel free to go around and to the next person. Cindy, I'll start with you.
Cindy, you want to take the mic?
Well, I really think that just like being a really good, authentic person and very trustworthy are the most important things in a relationship. I'm very happy my partner has those qualities as well. And I think when I was younger, I was more caught up in the superficial things you were mentioning before. But at the end of the day, it's really about being a good person and finding a person to complement that. And I'm happy to say that I feel as though I am that and I found that.
Nice.
I think it's really important in a relationship to have high emotional intelligence. There's always going to be hurdles in life, things coming at you, unexpected points and turns. So just having someone who is self-aware and does the work on themselves, and then also doing that for yourself so you can really continue to build and grow a solid foundation.
I love that. And it sounds like you already kind of know that you're self-aware, so you need someone who is self-aware as well.
Absolutely.
Loving it.
I think that in like the same vein, it's like having ambition for personal growth. I think is important, and like respect for self and respect for others in general. You know, the way that you treat someone you love is great, but the way that you treat strangers as well, I think is important.
I love that. And I love that you said ambition for personal growth, because people grow regardless. So it's, if you're not with someone who's always open to grow just as much as you are, then yes, conflicts can arise. So yes, it's very important.
There we go. Big thing for me would be like shared core values, because I think if those aren't aligned, then you can have two people kind of working towards and holding a level of expectation for the other person or the relationship that isn't really aligned. And then secondary, I would also say like a level for adventure.
Images with a rose in it, or with like a whole bunch of emojis like on a random girl's face, and it's like, that's not going to get you a swipe. That we want to see you. We just want to see you, and we want to see what you look like. So guys, please, we don't want to see a whole bunch of like sticker emojis on girls in bikinis that you're taking a picture with. That should not be your profile on a dating app, okay? I think sometimes you think that makes sense, but you see it a lot more than you think. And then also upload 2 to 3 different photos of different angles. Guys, again, I'm going to come at you again, but you guys have an issue with angles, and I'm getting all this feedback from women. You guys tend to take angles in a very weird way, whether the phone is like underneath your chin or whether like the phone is like almost above your head, and it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with like looking straight into the camera and like just snapping a photo. That is where everyone's light is, whether it's your left side or your right side. Guys, this is where you need to live, right here. And then also 2 to 3 different photos. I'm okay, thank you. 2 to 3 different photos. I feel like a lot of the time we want to know what you do for fun. We want to know your hobbies. You know, Hinge is particular, like you get prompts, but not every dating app can give you like a full view of like someone's personality, and realistically no one wants to read through things, so your photos have to talk for you. So some of those things that you can do to help you get that swipe right, which is like, yes, I'm interested, is to make sure you have 1, 2, 3 different photos of like you playing soccer or swimming or with your dog. Girls love dogs, okay guys? Like, girls love dogs. So if you have a dog that's not a picture you want to hide, you want to post it. And then the most important thing, which I feel like if you do all the stuff right and then you do this last thing wrong, it doesn't really matter, which is stop talking on the apps and becoming pen pals. Women don't want them. So if you're on the app for more than 2 days and you find someone of interest, initiate getting off the app and planning to some time to see them in person. Now ladies, it's not all on the guys either, because I've seen the female side of things as well. And women expect men to do all the work. You have to give men the confidence to initiate getting off the app. Show that you're interested in getting to know him when you guys are going to be in a restaurant. That the conversation's not going to go stale. If you're already very short when you're in the app, why would they want to take you out on a date and feel awkward and also pay for your drinks? So again, it's a 50-50 thing, but guys, you know, you guys are definitely slacking. You got to put a little bit more weight in it, and women, be not so ice cold, you know? The nice guys are out there, but you know, you have to be open, and I think that's the main thing, showing your authentic self. So again, it's not always about the single people, which of course, you know, I was talking about in terms of like dating apps, because if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be on there unless you're looking for a throuple, because there are apps for that. But if you are in a relationship and you're just, you know, you're doing your monogamous thing and you want to maintain that, because again, our goal is not just to have a whole bunch of single people and like, you know, guide them on how to date. We want them to be in relationships, and when they get in them, we want to teach them how to maintain it. So we actually take courses all the time about just ways to, again, build self-confidence and to help people like build long-lasting relationships, like different things on the communication so that we can relay this information to our clients. So once they get into these relationships, how do we help them maintain those relationships? Communication. That is a big thing we've all talked about. We all know communication is important. That's important in any relationship, whether you're at work, self-love, like you're talking about jobs or your family or friends. Communication is key. You have to be open. If anything's bothering you or whatever the case may be, communicating it will definitely help continually and keep that relationship consistent. Checking in. I feel like a lot of people think that they do this, but they don't. And I feel like this is actually a big problem in relationships, and I think that I see this a lot with my clients. Over a certain extended amount of time, and if I can give you guys any type of information, I would say after that first year, people stop checking in. And when I say checking in, I mean just seeing how your partner is doing. Are they happy? Are they happy with themselves? Are they happy with you? Are they happy with the goals that they have completed since they've been with you? Are they happy with where they are in their life? Do they wish they would go out on more dates? Do they wish you called them pretty more? Do they wish that you would go to the gym with them? Whatever the case may be, you have to set aside sometimes time to have that conversation, to check in with your partner, because sometimes life gets mundane and we're on autopilot, and you actually realize you end up in like year 5 and you don't even know someone's unhappy until it's too late, and it's because you don't check in. Don't get lazy. Kind of goes into like the extended time of relationships. As people kind of get comfortable with each other, we all get lazy. People are like, oh, I'm comfortable, I'm not going to get cute anymore, or I'm going to gain a little weight. If that's what you want to do, it's whatever. But it's more so about, if you're healthy, consistently stay healthy, consistently go to the gym. Do that with your partner. Maybe add them into your plans. If you go on dates, don't stop going on dates. You can still find creative ways to do things. So just don't get lazy. Stay consistent with doing things with your partner and keep things interesting. And then take your space. I feel like a lot of people don't understand this part. And when I say take your space, I don't mean, hey guys, let's go to Vegas for the weekend, and girls, let's go to New York, and then everybody's fucking everybody. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you guys are up each other's ass Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday the girls want to have a wine night, and Saturday the boys want to do like a beer thing, that's okay? And you have to be okay with that, because if you're not okay with yourself and you don't know how to entertain yourself and enjoy your own energy, then no relationship ever is going to work for you. You're stronger together, and that's what people have to remember. And then, of course, be open to growth, which I feel like we talked about, you were mentioning before. Being open to growth, being open to the fact that people do change over time. Life happens, tragedies happen, COVID happened, and you have to be able to understand that people are going to change. So if you're open to that, and knowing that not only are you going to change and be open to growth, you have to hope that your partner is as well. And then, of course, there's like the third stage of everything. So we kind of dabbled into like the dating, which is like the apps, and then like being in a relationship. But then there's like the third part, which is like the sad part, the breakup, slant whack. Yeah, it's sad. But at the end of the day, life goes on. No one has ever died from a broken heart, and if anything, it makes you stronger. So don't let your past, dictate your future. And I feel like this is such an important thing, because I feel like people usually like to talk about one of two things. It's like either how much in love they are, or like how depressed they are that they're not in love, or that a breakup happened really bad. And the thing is, there is an in between, people, and it's just being happy, whether you're single or in a relationship. And when you get to the point where you're just happy with yourself, it doesn't really matter what your relationship status is. But I say that to also say, if you're someone who is looking for their next relationship, for their next person, don't let anything that happened in the past dictate how you treat someone in the future. You don't let that make you feel like you're too scared to open up in the future. Because at the end of the day, I always say, and I think it's like a quote too, better to have loved than lost, to never have than have loved at all. So I think it's really true. And then just kind of finishing off with like common society dating norms that are actually unhealthy. So not being open and honest. I feel like every single time we watch a movie, whether it's on Netflix or whatever, whether it's on like, I don't know, any type of HBO, Netflix, anything we're watching nowadays, it always makes you feel as though you're supposed to like almost have like a contest of how much you don't care. And I'm telling you people, that's not the way. It's not going to get you to be in love. It's not going to have you, be a happy, healthy relationship person. That's not the way. So even though it seems like it's normal, It's not. So don't do it. The ghosting thing. We all know, like, that's the whole thing. Basically, what ghosting is you don't have feelings for someone anymore, or you can't fully comprehend what's happening with your feelings for someone, and instead of approaching them and being open and honest, you basically just never speak to them again. That's very immature. That's also saying how you are, and how you are also and how you are also shows how someone reacts to you. I'm sorry, there's a really cute baby and she's like adorable. She's not paying attention. I'm like, wait, what's going on? But yes, one day you'll get to the kid. But like, so back to the ghosting thing. Again, at the end of the day, the important thing is, if you have an issue, it's always best to talk it out. If you have no more feelings for someone, it's best to be open and honest about it, because again, love is karma. It's unpredictable. There's no science to it. And the only thing I can say is I have actually seen the positive energy and the positive vibes that you put out there will come back to you. And that also includes the negative things. And then, of course, playing emotional power games, which I mentioned before, which is the whole who can care less, or he took 5 days to respond to me, so I'm going to take 6 days to respond to him. If you want to respond right away, respond right away. But then also realize his way of communication may not be the standard that works for you. So maybe that person may not be the best match for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be an issue where you have to necessarily play the same emotional game. So I say all that to say, dating's a bitch. Love is great, but it also sucks and it hurts. But that's the beautiful thing about it, because it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, how old you are, what language you speak. We've all either had our heart broken or fell in love or had a crush, and we all love the same, which is hard. And that's kind of my job, what I help people kind of get through on a daily basis. So that's my presentation. If you want to know more, I have an Instagram that talks about all of my dating tips and basically what I talk about on a daily basis. You can also go to my website. I have dating courses. You can also sign up to be matched for my matchmaking site. And yeah, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you. Yay. And if you guys have any questions, I can pass this around or pass the other book around.
Any questions?
Is it? Not? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
What piece of advice that you just gave all of us have you struggled with the most to yourself?
That's a great question. I would say the piece of advice that I have struggled with taking personally. That's actually a really good question. I have to think about that. I would probably say it's the act of making sure I consistently give myself positive affirmations on a daily basis. I think that people think that when you get into a groove, when you're happy every day, you stop. It's almost kind of like I only try to make myself feel good when I'm not feeling good. And what I realized is that it really does help to be consistent with your positive affirmations, because regardless of what I'm getting into that day or whatever I encounter that day, I'm pretty sure it probably would have been a little bit easier to cope with if I already was in a positive mindset and I told myself that when I started my morning. So definitely just making sure I say my positive affirmations, I would say. Anybody else?
What advice would you have for people going into a new relationship and not carrying the emotional baggage from the previous relationship into, like, how to release that, basically?
Yeah, well, that's a very hard one. I think it's basically being open and okay, and knowing that it is very possible that as much as you don't want to carry that baggage, you are the baggage. So you're going to carry it anyway. It's about not letting it affect the new relationship. So I think it's about not chasing it away or acting like it doesn't exist. It's about being very aware that you do have that you went through something traumatic, and you're open with your new partner about that, so that he can, of course, be a little bit more aware, and that you don't kind of have the same issues you had in your previous relationship. So again, it's about being open and honest and sharing your issues from any relationship you had prior with your new partner.
Kind of like thinking about the same issue with like baggage. Do you ever think there's a moment where you because of the baggage, that you shouldn't be dating and waiting for hard with like that healing work to do that?
That's a good question. I think it's dependent on the person. And I think that that's very hard because it also depends on how traumatic is your baggage. You know, what exactly did you go through? How long was it? And who's this new person that's supposed to help you get through it? Personally, I have seen that there is a point where you almost have to pull yourself out of a rut, and sometimes to do that is almost to like make yourself uncomfortable. And that's kind of like my theory, and I tell my clients that when something is uncomfortable, you are growing. So it's like if you were just, let's say you were in a 3-year relationship, and then it's been a year since you dated, and you're like, I'm still feeling kind of messed up about it, and it's like it's been a year. It's like I think that even though you may feel like you still need time to grow and heal, listen to that, but then also test the other side of things and say, you know what, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable. I'm too comfortable with just not dating. I'm going to go on a date and see how I feel. And you never know what may happen. You can always just change your mind or just ghost them. Just like, don't do that. You good? Yay. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Woo.